We've seen a rise in dark, gloomy, physics-based platformers over the last few years, and there's a new one now out on PS4 called Rain World. But is this game like a ray of sun after a bad storm, or should it just get washed away in the rain? In Rain World, you're playing as an adorable creature known as a Slug Cat, who is, well, basically a cat that has slug-like properties, able to squeeze into tight areas and slither around, and a lot of the game's physics and mechanics work around the cute character. The world in Rain World is a very dark and gloomy one. Everything's pretty much gray and dark, polluted. You can just see the remnants of what was once there. There's a lot of like factory-like settings and things that have just been left to rot for years. There's a lot of pollution going on in the world, clearly, whereas rain, too much of it just ends up drowning and washing out our poor creature, and pretty much everything else in this world also wants this poor creature dead. There is a little bit of story that's told at the beginning, but the game doesn't bombard you with a lot of plot or narrative at any time. Basically, you're just kind of left to figure out and explore the world that you're put in. It gives you a tiny bit at the beginning, showing the character being kind of separated from his group, and then it's pretty much just go at it. Figure out what you need to do. You do have a bit of hints where it tells you your basic controls for jumping, being able to pick and throw items, as well as being able to eat food. The game has a bit of a metroidvania quality to it. There's a vast map you're going to have to explore, you're going to have to do some backtracking, but instead of getting power-ups, your Slug Cat basically has all of its abilities right from the get-go, though you do get karma that allows you to go into places and access areas you weren't able to at the beginning. Other than that, though, it's a very difficult game that you're just left to figure out what you need to do. For the most part, controlling Slug Cat takes a while to get used to. Jumping isn't as straightforward as you would think it would be. Sometimes you have to hold down the jump button in order to do a little bit of a lunge or a pounce, which will help you get across smaller gaps. As well as just being able to kind of get through narrow passageways and maneuver the character. A lot of times I found myself falling from ledges even though I was trying to grab a hold of something, or just having other little minor problems as far as getting my character to get exactly where I needed him to go. Once you get the hang of things, it gets easier for sure, but that initial hour or so of gameplay will be a little bit frustrating to some. After you get used to the controls, though, the world itself is very, very cruel. You have rains that come in every so often. Basically, you will get warned as the screen will start to shake, and you have a little bit of time, but basically, rain is coming, and if you don't get to a hiding spot to save, you're gonna end up losing your progress and end up dying. The game only saves at those saving hibernation spots, so you have to get back to them if you want to make sure that you're able to keep all the progress you've made. I lost sometimes 10, 15, 20 minutes of progress because I just wasn't able to find someplace to rest. The creatures and the other stuff in the world, hazard-wise, are also pretty vicious. You have like alligator-like creatures, underwater creatures, giant insect bugs. You have things that disguise themselves as safe platforms. In fact, there's like poles earlier on in the game that you think, oh, I can climb on that, and you jump to it to grab it, and all of a sudden it's like a giant centipede-like thing, and it ends up eating you and taking you down into a pit, and you have to go back to your previous save point. Pretty much everything wants this poor little creature dead, for sure. Early on, you do have some hints in the form of this other creature that kind of follows you around and will kind of point in areas and directions and kind of show you little like holograms of what it's trying to show you the location of, whether it be items or safe spots or enemies or the like, but that ends up going away the farther you get in. Or you can just flat out at the very beginning of the game throw something at him and he ends up going away permanently in that regard. There is a tiny bit of combat in the game. Picking up some objects, you are able to throw them, and you can either aggravate or take out enemies using these objects. A lot of the game, though, I found myself just trying to outsmart them, and it was pretty satisfying at times when I was able to maneuver around a series of these large creatures and barely be able to sneak by into a small passageway and get to the next screen. The game isn't extremely long, but its difficulty and just the exploration that is involved, you could spend a lot of time getting lost in this game, and for those who like that whole aspect of exploration and more of the survival elements, as you don't really have a lot to defend yourself, you're going to probably really dig it. From the technical side of things, the game ran smoothly. I didn't run into crashing, glitching, or slowdown of any sort. I do like a lot of the mood that's set, though, with the tone of the sound. Not a whole lot of music's there, but what it is ends up bringing that atmosphere up a little bit. Rain World is now available on the PlayStation 4, and it features a full trophy list, including a Platinum. Overall, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that really end up enjoying this one for sure. I like the art style and all, but I feel like we've seen it quite a bit recently, though the game does a great job with the physics of the characters themselves, as far as being able to move around, sneak through the areas, and this goes for the enemies along with the main playable Slug Cat character. In the end, with everything said, I'm going to be giving Rain World a 7 out of 10. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.